Alright, I am back with another update on my Back to the Future nerd display. Thank you for your comments, everyone. I've taken a little bit of time this weekend to polish up the experience and incorporate some of your suggestions. Some were pretty ridiculous, like me having nominal kilowatts instead of kilowatt hours for battery energy. So I fixed that. Someone also mentioned that the torque was off. In fact, what I was showing was the torque right out of the motor, where there's a 9-to-1 ratio with the wheels, which means now I've scaled it down to show sort of like car torque instead of what's just coming out of the engine. I've replaced, I fixed the coolant, so now I have coolant to the powertrain, I have coolant to the battery. I'm not quite sure if those are ever supposed to be different on a Model 3. I've never seen them have different values. They seem to be the same. I've hooked up the inverter temperature properly and the stator, so I can now track the engine, or not the engine, the motor. It's kind of interesting. The stator tends to heat up quite a bit more than I thought. I also changed the state of charge I had for the battery. It's now showing the coolant. I thought that was more useful. Another little thing I added is this power percentage. So for the auxiliary, again, the auxiliary section here is all the non-drive energy that's being consumed. So this is what's actually running the electronics in the car. If I turn the heating on, we should see the PTC here start to go up, as you see there. And so this power percentage here is showing the percentage of energy that the car is consuming for non-drive activities, which is obviously 100% now because I'm not driving at all. Cleaned up the LEDs a little bit, put in some decimal points, got the LEDs sort of slanted, kind of like that better, just in terms of the look. And the other little thing I did, and I made it removable because it's not really in Back to the Future, but if I tap here, I have my little trip meter. So I added that today. So what I'm tracking here is kilometers driven, kilometers per hour average speed. You can see it's going down as I'm not moving. Kilowatt hours consumed on the trip. Watt hours per kilometer, so the consumption. And this here I'm calculating the percentage of regen. Regen, it turns out, gives you a significant amount of power back. So I felt that it would be kind of cool to show it on trips, kind of get an idea of how much you're benefiting from it in your drive. So we can go for a little drive here. I'm just going to pull out. Someone behind me here. So we can see now that the torque is kind of more reasonable numbers. You should be able to see the consumption kind of move around. I think someone else got hot there. I don't think that was me. If I can find a spot here where there's not too much traffic, I can hammer it a little bit, show some of the numbers. I'm really quite surprised by how much the regen is in city driving. It's a pretty massive amount of energy that you get back from that. It's very impressive. I've noticed also that in normal driving, the cooling flow doesn't really change that much, but when you do hammer it repeatedly, it starts going up, as does the stator temperature. It doesn't seem to change all that much when you're just sort of driving fast, or you accelerate, drive at a constant speed and decelerate, but when you're just constantly like hammering it and then slowing down and hammering it again, it goes nuts kind of. So I'm stuck at a light here. It's kind of a long light. They just repaved this stretch of road here, so it doesn't usually have much traffic, and it's probably pretty nice now. So I thought I'd come out here. Oh, actually it's just the other side that they repaved, so this is going to be bumpy. Not very good. I might end up not keeping this footage. Oh well. Oh, here, I guess we're starting the new part here. You can see the trip meter from the car here is pretty similar to what I'm showing here. I started my own trip meter just a little bit after I left. That's why the kilometer is off by 0.1. But you can see that the consumption is very similar. I've noticed that mine updates like 4 times a second, so it's pretty quick. This one, the car one, takes multiple seconds to update when it changes. So let's see if I give it a little go here. We get some pretty big numbers there. It's kind of fun. Hopefully the camera picked that up properly, since this is a new road. So at any rate, there you have it. New and improved Back to the Future display.